Israel obtained half a ton of the material inside these vaults. And here's what we got. 55,000 pages. Another 55,000 files on 183 CDs.
A little show and tell there by Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel says those files prove that Iran is lying and has been lying and is still working on a secret nuclear weapons program. So what does Donald Trump do with all of this now? Because he's up against a very important deadline. Let's get back to the panel with this. Susan, so Netanyahu says they have evidence that was verified by the United States. That was like one key little aside that he threw in the middle of this. Honestly, it just kept making me feel like he was giving a TED talk that disputes Iran's public position that they'd never been pursuing a nuclear weapon. No one believed that they were never pursuing a nuclear weapon anyway. Regardless, what does this change for Donald Trump?
Well, it depends. I think that he was really getting ready to back out of the deal, so this just further gives him reason to. And it is going to play very well to his base. The fact that this information came out when it did, right after the presidents of France and Germany left the United States, came out today. We have a couple of weeks left.
Are you saying it goes along the vein of like the last person that Donald Trump speaks to? Is that when they also make a decision? Is that how
I'm not going to go that far, but this is, I mean, it is very significant. And as a matter of fact, I would argue that it would be very hard for Donald Trump to now stay in this deal.
Yeah.
So here's the well, one, it was sort of like watching The Price is Right there for a second with here's what's in the showcase.
What's really intelligence turned up is remarkable.
Yeah,
what they were able to get.
But so here's the thing. So if Netanyahu was so convinced that Donald Trump was going to tear up the Iran deal, then one would think that this wasn't so necessary to make such a big production and talk to the president so directly on an international stage. But I would say, I mean, based on what I've read, and it's short since this came out, is that there's not a ton of information in this that was not already known, which was, yes, the Iranians lied about whether they were trying to get a nuclear program prior to 2015 when they cut the deal. Big shocker of the world, Iran was trying to get a nuclear program operational.
Otherwise, why did they try to negotiate said deal?
My suspicion is that Netanyahu probably had a sense that Donald Trump may, in fact, wind up sticking with the Iran deal in some way, shape, or form that he was uncomfortable with. And so now he's trying to blow it up.
Well, that's an interesting take, because Netanyahu said at the very end of his comments, I'm sure he'll do the right thing. About Trump, about the Iran deal. Is he helping make Trump's case, or do you think he's trying to force his hand?
I remember President Trump used the same phrase to us, General Kelly, about Jared Kushner. He'll do the right thing. I mean, this is what they talk each other's talk. And so I think what he did was he said, listen, I will be the person to give you the evidence that you need to get this across the finish line, because if it comes from you, people are going to be wary, but if it comes from me, you can rely on Israel and say our partners saw this and we verified it. So I think he gave the president an alley-oop and said, listen, this is your way to get out of the deal.
Do you think if he stayed in the deal now, I mean, is it now impossible for him to stay in the deal?
I think it's very difficult for him to stay in the deal. Today, during his news conference with the president of Nigeria, he said in a sort of throwaway line, you know, I might be willing to stay in the deal if we can negotiate something tougher. And one of the options has always been working with our European partners to negotiate a new deal that was tougher and could satisfy President Trump's demand that this thing be either toughened or scrapped. A very interesting part of this, though, the president talks all the time about wanting to remove the U.S. from the Middle East, to stop being such an integral part of leading the world against terrorism, against Russia, against the general problems that we have been the guarantor of global peace. And if he scraps the Iran deal, removes the U.S. from the deal, it is going to be more imperative that we stay engaged in the Middle East, because Iran is going to use that as an excuse to do what they are already doing, which is troublemaking, fomenting terrorism as the world's largest state sponsor of terror. And no deal, as flawed and I think bad as it is going to require more U.S. engagement, which is exactly what President Trump likes to say he does not want.
Well, that's interesting. It could put him almost in a catch-22. Like, he's going to be damned if he does, damned if he doesn't when it comes to it, from a Trumpian perspective.
Yes. But if it means he gets a good deal, he'll do it.
Well, or he just adds a little, tweaks the deal and says it's stronger.
Merkel and Macron watched this today and said, what?
Well, and Macron also was trying to deal with leadership in Iran to see if there was room. He was working on channels to see if there was room to make additions to the deal. And that got blown up. So that got blown up, and then you see this press conference. So there was no doubt about it. They were looking to really put either given a reason or put pressure on
Why
him.
even hold out anymore? I mean, after this, if he's already walking, if he's walking so close to the line, other than Donald Trump loves a grand rollout
Sure.
reveal, I mean, why even wait till May 12th?
Because he likes a show. Donald Trump, I mean, if there's one thing that's consistent about the president, is even when he's made a decision, he still likes to drag it on the next reveal. Stay tuned next week for the next episode of the Trump White House.
Wait for the Donald Trump TED Talk PowerPoint. We'll see that one next. Thanks, everybody. Great to see you. This is day 466 of President Trump's administration. It's also day 190 until the midterm elections. Oh, yeah, we get to add numbers. That's the State of America tonight. We'll see you back tomorrow.